Well, hello, guys, and welcome to technically the first episode of the Journey podcast. I have a cool little announcement. It's a little bit of a bummer, but it's actually I'm doing it because it will allow everything to be way better. If you're listening to this right now, you may, and you've been following along on social media with some of the stuff that I've been saying that I was going to be releasing, you may be expecting this to be the first educational episode of the podcast. But there is something that I am insanely excited about in the works. And it will allow the whole podcast experience to be way better as far as your experience going through the format of the Journey podcast that I'm trying to provide for you. And it's a little bit outside of my control, and it basically is being finalized a few days late. So I had the choice of either continuing with my originally planned schedule of this being an episode getting into educational stuff and teaching and going through everything and kind of starting the whole process of series 1, which I'm calling the beginning, which is laying the groundwork for what we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. But instead, I'm going to use this as basically introducing to you what the format of the podcast will be, and because I think it's important for you to understand my idea. I'll get into that a little bit later, and I will tell you the cool, exciting thing a little bit later in this episode. But for now, let me just get into the format of the podcast, because it's laid out differently than any other thing that I've ever done as far as all the podcasts I've been involved in, and it's has a different purpose than all of the current podcasts that are out there available. Not better or worse, just different, because I want to do something different, and I think the other podcasts that are out there right now are awesome, and I don't want to discourage people to listen to them because they have a hugely valuable purpose and great entertainment value, and so I'm going to segment a little bit differently. So anyways, let's get into the podcast format. Essentially, what I'm trying to do with this podcast is pull together a bunch of things that I'm passionate about. One of them being teaching. It's something that I've built my whole life around, my career around. That's what my job is. Another one is shooting. It's a hobby that turned into a sport, that turned into a job, that turned into a career for me. And it's something that has brought me a lot of fun in my life, being able to interact and engage with all the people that you meet in the sport. And what I want to do is pull my 20 plus years of experience together to create a podcast to help people experience the same thing. It's important to note that this whole first year of the Journey podcast is going to be about helping all of you accomplish your shooting goals. But that becomes an intimidating subject for a lot of people because there's so much involved around what your shooting goals should be. And so I want to preface this with saying that it doesn't matter if your goal is to be able to go out on a course and never shoot a tournament in your life, but enjoy having fun. Or if your goal is that you want to win a major championship. All of those things are the same to me through my eyes, because you cannot judge or put value on what somebody's own personal want is out of something that they enjoy. So everybody is equal in that, and my goal is to help you all accomplish the thing that you want. That's what I like doing. It's fun. I enjoy the relationships and friendships that get created out of it, and so I wanted to build a podcast around that. The format of the Journey podcast is going to be a monthly format. So basically what we're going to be doing is having these monthly long series, so to speak. There's going to be 12 of them in a year, obviously. And each series is going to be a focused topic, but all focused towards one purpose. And that purpose is to get you to accomplish your goals in this shooting year. Next year will be a different main purpose, but that for this year, that's what it's going to be. The series 1, which is month 1, is going to lay the groundwork for everything that we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. The podcast is going to be structured like an educational and entertaining course. Basically, it's going to have a scheduled formal and informal episodes. So as far as the formal episodes go, they're going to be released every Monday, and it's going to alternate between recorded audio episodes like this one and interactive YouTube live episodes. So essentially that will be on a 4-week structure. There's going to be 2 recorded audio episodes every month, and there's going to be 2 interactive formal YouTube episodes every month. All 4 of those are going to be coming out or happening on Mondays. The recorded episode purpose is basically to allow me to have an organized presentation of information and get very in-depth, not have to split focus between interacting with listeners in real time and then also trying to present teaching information. I'm also going to be hosting structured guest interviews and have a good high production value of information. So that way it's very focused and succinct. Just preface that with the fact that this is going to be the least focused and succinct episode because I have to lay the groundwork to give you the idea of what's going to be happening so you understand how to take advantage of this information and how the purpose of the podcast will be structured. So then the formal YouTube live episodes, the purpose of that is to allow me to give really relevant coaching in real time. I want to interact with you in real time, but also on a podcast. So that's where it really kind of changes from the normal thing that we all know as far as shooting podcast goes. They will be real episodes. They're going to be released both in audio and in video on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. And I'm going to answer questions from you guys. Also still have a structured presented thing, that topic or information that I want to cover, but be able to engage with you in that presentation of information. I'm going to allow the response of you guys listening to guide me through the way that I present the information. That way I'm answering questions and going more in depth with things that seem like they need to be explained better as I'm talking about them, by paying attention to the comments on the YouTube videos or answering questions with guests that I have in real time on the episode. And by guests, I mean you guys. So I have the ability to, as I'm giving a YouTube live episode, if I see a comment or a question in the thing, I can say, hey, that's a really great question. I'm going to send you a link, click it, and you're going to be on this podcast. And I can answer the question, listen to your question. You can talk. If you have video equipment, I can FaceTime you or Skype you or Zoom call you and pull your video in on the podcast, and I can do that real quick back and forth with multiple people. So it's going to be really interesting to be able to do that. I want to create this interactive, engaging teaching environment, but that's also fun and entertaining. I'll be able to analyze shooting video submissions on the YouTube Live, so I'll have a whole built-up platform on my website. And something else I'm excited to talk about, where you can submit videos of your shooting, doing the practicing drills that we talk about, or that I assign as a suggestion to as like homework every month or every week for episodes, where if you submit the video, I can pull the video in on the YouTube Live. I can put on-screen graphics. I can put it in slow motion. I can draw. I can show you different things that are happening to help you improve. I can incorporate submitted documents. So as we go, because this is kind of like a course, I will be giving you guys things to do if you want to be involved. That will help you improve. And if you're doing them along with the podcast, then I'm going to get all that information. I can see it, I can read it. As soon as you submit something, I can look at it, and I can pull that, with your permission, I can pull that into the YouTube video, the live video, and I can have you on as a guest. I can go in and teach you and talk about it and help guide you. So that I'm really excited about that, and I want to create a class-style environment with a good and really high entertainment value. So that's the purpose of the formal YouTube live episodes. As far as the informal YouTube live episodes, those are going to be happening every Wednesday. So again, every Monday is going to be either a recorded episode or a formal educational YouTube live episode. It's going to alternate. It'll be recorded episode, YouTube live, then recorded episode, YouTube live every Monday. But every Wednesday, regardless of the type of episode that comes out on Monday, is going to be an informal YouTube live episode. The purpose of those is going to be a much less serious and focused environment that's really fun and entertaining and engaging. I want to develop a community of people that feel all invested with each other. That we're all invested in the same goal of accomplishing our own goals. And so if we build a community, we can help each other accomplish that. And so that's why I want to do the informal live episodes. It's going to allow me to get more personal with you. We can talk about anything. And then also, it allows me to engage in and host community events. So another layer on top of this podcast is going to be some really cool and exciting, but also different every month community events. So it can be things like let's all work together for a month every Wednesday, and we're gonna create a really cool bear pelt vest that we all have input on, and you can see me building it live on the YouTube episode. And I can take your input and I can do a bunch of cool stuff. And then at the end of the month, we release it and you can all put reservations in and get a cool vest that you helped design. Or it can be something really neat with that's just strictly focused on the podcast. Or it can be something involving a tournament that we're all going to, or whatever it is. It's going to be different every month. As I like engaging and changing and dynamic information. I don't want it to get stale and static, so that's going to be a lot of fun. The YouTube informal episodes are not going to be released as episodes because basically it's going to be probably a little bit chaotic, but what will happen is on the YouTube formal episodes, those will always be saved. So you can go on my YouTube channel and you can watch one if you missed it and go back and watch one from the night before or from a year before if you want and go through the formal episodes because those are going to be educational. The informal ones, at this point in time, unless there's a really important thing that comes up in it, I'm not planning on keeping that available to be to go back and watch it if you miss it. So it will be, if you want to be involved, you'll have to be there. The next kind of aspect of the whole podcast is this whole community experience I'm trying to build. And I can just real quickly go over that. Basically, what's going to be happening is, again, I want to have everybody feel like we're a family. This is not going to be me sitting behind a mic, recording something, posting it, and never talking to anybody or having any interaction. This is going to be a podcast where I'm the host, but also you're the host. You guys are on and involved and engaged. So because of that, it will be important if you want that experience to participate with us. So come to the YouTube live episodes, both formal and informal. Comment, interact, do the things that I submit as homework every month. They're not going to be boring. It'll be fun stuff like, here's a drill. Let's all go do this with this specific purpose. And then next week when we come back, let's all talk about it in the YouTube formal live, or let's hear feedback on how it went for you and how I can help you, make it better. And then, here's a link to a survey you can do where it will help me understand what you're experiencing right now. And if you guys, can do this in the next week before the next episode, I'll be able to look at all your submissions and let's talk about it, and I can help teach you and guide you, that kind of stuff. If you're participating in this community, but you're doing it not in real time, I'm not going to be able to incorporate you in it. So, not that you have to, and it's bad if you don't. You can still get the same amount of value from this podcast and everything I'm putting together if you're not doing it live. But the thing that you will not get from it is being able to be incorporated in the podcast as part of the podcast. So I highly encourage and recommend all of you to do that. Obviously, I understand the realism of the fact that, not all of us can go shooting every week. I personally can't even do that. So, like homework assignments or suggested routines and things that have to do with having the time to go out and actually do something. You don't always have to do that, but the thing that will help you a lot is if I submit something for you to fill out or do, or a document, then try to get that done, because it'll be really, really fun to incorporate you in the podcast. Then lastly, the thing I'm super excited about is the Journey Podcast Community app. So it's going to be an app on the App Store, hopefully being released very soon. It's in the publishing stage, so I'm getting approved for it. But basically on the app, it's going to pull together all the information that you need, everything we talk about, all the episodes, all the documents, all the training drills, all the important links to the surveys and forms that we need to use to do self-analysis or to understand, what to do going forward. Everything will be in one place. That's something that's really helpful to be able to be effective in what we're trying to accomplish. Because if things are scattered all over the place, you got to go to this website for that or that website for this, or, it just gets too hard to keep track of. So it will pull everything together as a hub to help you accomplish your goals. On top of all of that, there's going to be forms for you to post a question and have people answer. There's going to be user profiles where you can, create your profile, and that way you can engage with people and encourage them or receive advice, or just, post a funny picture of something that happened. Doesn't matter. It's literally just going to be for fun. And there's even group and individual messaging built into it. So, it can act as like a text message. You might not be able to get somebody's phone number yet because you don't really know them. But through the podcast, if you meet somebody that's in your area and you need a training partner, or you want a good squad mate, you can look at their profile on the app, send them a message, be like, hey, let's go shoot this shoot together. Or you can message me directly through it. We can have a big group message where all of us are involved in, and we're just texting each other and communicating about something on the episode, or something funny that happened, or something that you need advice on, anything like that. I'm hoping that through that, there will be certain people that almost take on their own role of being moderators in a way, or people that help guide other people that can, interact and engage. And it would be really cool if all that happens, but we'll see. Basically, the purpose of it is, let's just have fun. Let's all get to know each other. Let's create a community, and let's accomplish our goals. So with that being said, I'm just going to get into what I want to have you guys do for the next episode. So just wrapping up everything real quick. We are going to be using a lot of information that you guys submit to drive the direction of this podcast, because I don't want to sit behind a mic and just spew information, because I can't reach a lot of you on a personal level that way. And because of that, I won't be able to be as effective as I can be in doing what I know how to do really well, which is teach. The best way for me to do my job is to listen to you. When I give individual lessons, I always take the approach that the student is the boss, and I'm the person trying to help them do everything, but I need to listen to what they communicate to me as far as what they're there in that lesson for. And that's going to be the filter, in a way, of this podcast. Obviously, I'm defining the purpose of the podcast, but I can't create the content of it without your help. So, in order to get the content of it, or for it, I'll need you to basically submit information. Because of the fact that this whole year of the Journey podcast is going to be about it's going to be about teaching you how to accomplish your goals and taking you along the journey of doing that, and also doing that with you for my own goals. We obviously need to start with, what are your goals, right? So, if you go to your homework for the next week, is to go to my website. It's dradulovich.com/podcast. If you get to that page of my website, you'll see a little tab on there, right in the middle of the page, that says 2023 Goals Submission. If you click that, it'll take you to a form. It's going to ask you to input up to 3 different goals that you want to accomplish by the end of the year. And I'm going to purposefully leave it kind of vague. The form itself is kind of vague, and my description of what I'm wanting you to do right now in this podcast is a little vague, because I don't want to give you all the too much information, because then we can't learn. I always take the approach to teaching. I've held this philosophy both for myself and for my students. If I give you a list of things to do, or I make you memorize the paths required or the information you need or whatever to do anything, the only thing I'm teaching you is to remember a certain order of a process. But instead, if we go through a process of learning where it involves theorizing what we should experience, building a plan to experience that, executing the plan and experiencing it, and then analyzing and evaluating the experience, whether it was a success or a failure, and taking that analyzation to try to recoup and regroup and relay out another better approach. Then what ends up happening during that process is we start to actually cognitively understand the inner workings of what is important and required for whatever it is that we're trying to do. And that's the approach I'm going to take with this podcast. So with the 4 episodes per month layout, a lot of what's going to happen is I'm going to give you and lay out information, but I'm not going to teach you what to do. And then your homework is going to be to go on your own and try to figure out a way to do X, Y, Z. And then the next week will be all coming together, talking about the experience that we had trying to do that. So let's say, for example, it would be like, okay, your homework assignment, I'm going to roughly introduce the idea of learning how to actually practice. And then at the end of that episode, your homework will be, I want you to use a shoot analysis sheet to put together a planned practice and then go and follow your plan. That's what I'm going to give you. But then if you do that and you're participating in the podcast, when you come back the next week, I'll have your information that you've submitted about what your plan was, how it actually went, what you experienced, and how successful it was. And so I'll have all that information, and I can use it in that follow-up episode And we can dive deep into, okay, this person experienced this while they were trying to do that. Let me have them on as a guest. So we'll pull them on. We talk about it. I'll teach you some, ask you some questions to think critically. We can have involvement with everybody else that's watching at that time. And then we can, collect that information, refocus it, and then at that point I can dive really deep into, okay, you were trying to do this, you experienced this. This is why it felt that way. This is why it didn't go that way. And so the next time that we go and do this, now that you know that, let's try to incorporate that into what you're trying to do, and then execute in a more efficient way. That is going to allow you, like I said, to get really critically involved cognitively in the topics that we're covering in here. So that way we end up accomplishing the biggest goal of any coach, which is to not give the information to their student, but to teach them how to use it. Because at the end of the day, I could give you a book that has all the answers to how to win every tournament you go to. And you could take that along with you in a tournament. But the reality of it is, even with that book in front of you in the middle of a tournament, you won't really understand the process of what's happening, and you won't be able to make real-time strategy choices for how to approach or how to react to the certain situations that are happening. And so you'll be making a lot of mistakes. But instead, if I get you to understand it so well that regardless of the way that it's presented to you, that you can put together a defined and efficient approach to the situation that you're in, and then execute that. That's how we build people into being able to accomplish their goals. With all that being said, it's important that I just give you this piece of information. I know a lot of you are concerned or cognizant of your own personal privacy. And there may be a lot of you listening to this thinking, that sounds awesome, but what a disappointment, because I don't want him reading my goals in front of everybody and bringing me on a podcast and, whatever it is, whether it be based in embarrassment or just privacy, or that you don't feel confident in externalizing what your goals are because you don't think that they're as good as somebody else's. All of those concerns and viewpoints are valid, and I'm taking all of those into consideration. And what I have on every one of these surveys is or forms to fill out that are built to help you progress forward in accomplishing your goals, is that I have a little section in there that just asks you, are you comfortable with me using your information on a recorded or live episode? Yes or no? If you say yes to that, then I ask you a follow-up question. Are you willing to participate live or be a guest on a recorded episode? Yes or no? So the reason why I have that is because regardless of how you want to be involved in this, if you want to passively just observe but participate in the things that are built to help you get better, you can do that without worrying about, being public about anything. Or if you're somebody that really sees value in being able to have me use you as an example to everybody else to not only just use your submissions or your experience as a way to help everybody else, but also in the middle of that, teach you using your information as if it was a personal one-on-one private lesson, and you want to participate and involve yourself in all that, then you can do that too. So I just need to say that because, again, I don't want anybody afraid of participating and then not being able to take advantage of the stuff that is built around what I'm trying to create this whole experience for. And on top of all of that, I will personally be going along this journey with you. So all of the things that I'm going to be teaching you about and all of the things I'm going to be assigning you as homework, optional homework, I'm also going to do myself, and I'm going to share publicly for all of you. Number one, to learn from. Number two, to feel like we're doing this together, because we are. And number three, because in all honesty, the best way to create motivation and encourage people to do this type of thing is to feel like they have other people that are pushing them forward and holding them accountable. And if I'm involved in this as well, I can be there helping you and doing that for you, and you can be there helping me and doing that for me. And it will be a back and forth thing as we go that, I'm going to completely open my whole experience up to you guys so that we all learn together. This is something that I teach all the time, these topics, and the whole focus of the podcast is what I do, for all of my students. But I've never done it publicly. I've never done it personally to use to teach people. I've only just been on the receiving end of the information, not producing it for anybody else. And I am actually really excited to go along and do this with you. So there's that. Okay. Now, just onto some quick administrative boring things, but not really. If you want to be involved, it will be important that you do this in real time with everybody, like I said earlier on in this podcast. So I would recommend you guys. I hate to say this because it sounds so cliche, but it really will help you to, if you have a YouTube account, to make sure that you follow and subscribe the Journey Podcast on YouTube. That way you're getting notified of when our episodes go live. And also, that way you can actually participate in them. Because without being logged in to YouTube while I'm live and you watching it, you won't be able to comment in the comments, and therefore I won't know that you have information or asked a question so that I can answer it, or that I can pull you on as a live video guest in the middle of it. So it'd be really important to be able to do that if you want to be involved, and you can do that by just searching for the Journey Podcast on YouTube, and include my name on that. There may be some other Journey podcasts on YouTube. Seems like a pretty common name, I would imagine. So if you can't find it there, I will also have the YouTube link again in the description of this episode, as well as some other relevant information. And other than that, I believe we are good to go. So make sure, if you want to go in and submit your goals so I can use them to help you guys. And then if you have any questions on anything, please send me an email and ask. I open up another part of my website to be able to submit questions, but I update the form to submit questions after every episode is released, so that way when you do go to ask a question, you have a summary of the whole podcast there to help you formulate what your question was, or to direct it or remember things you don't remember. So you can always use that form. Lastly, if you have any ideas that you think would be great to talk about, or things that you would love to incorporate or love to hear me talk about, always let me know, whether it be an email to podcast@dradulovich.com, a submission on one of the forums on my website, or when the app gets released, just a message to me inside of the app. Any of those things work, and I'm always open to that. I love constructive criticism, and I want to try to make the best product that I can. The purpose of what I'm doing here is not for me. The purpose is to help guide you guys. So it helps me to hear what's important to you. I guess we will call it quits there, and I will see you guys. I will see you guys on the first live episode. And one thing I should add, on the YouTube channel, apart from the YouTube live episodes and the informal live episodes, I also will be creating, producing, and releasing other content all over the spectrum, from educational stuff to funny stuff to just informative stuff about new products or whatever it is. So that's not ever going to be scheduled things. I'm just going to release it at random times. And then also, like, during podcast series and episodes, if I assign a homework that says, like, hey, if you guys have the opportunity to practice this week, go and do this drill because it really aligns with what we're covering in the podcast for these next episodes. And if you don't understand the PDF file of the drill on my website, you can go to the YouTube channel and I go through it with you to show you how it works. That type of stuff will also be on there. So it will help you to follow and subscribe to that. That way you're always up to date. I've had a lot of questions about other social media stuff. I am not trying to create a bunch of different platforms for things, and so I just need to tell you I don't have a Instagram account for this podcast. I do have a Facebook page, not going to be super used. Everything that's going to be valuable to you guys mainly is going to be inside of the community app. So we'll just keep it streamlined and efficient, and just like hopefully the content of this podcast. And now I'm rambling, so I'm going to cut myself off so I can follow my own goals. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope that you had a great holiday season, and I hope that you're really looking forward to this whole new shooting season of 2023. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for listening to this. We all share the same love and passion for this game, and because of that, that's a reason why every tournament you go to or every person that you meet inside the sport is immediately a friend. So let's continue that trend, and let's build a community and build a cool family around this podcast to all encourage each other and see what happens. Thank you, guys.